Hello everyone. This is Nusret Demir speaking from Antalya, Turkey Akdeniz University. Now we are here with you with very interesting topic, I guess. We frequently hear the term sustainable development nowadays. As you know, especially from United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the food security and many other goals are all related to agriculture. On the other hand, the big revolution with the digitalization of the earth is also another important topic nowadays in our field. So this also allows to perform precision agriculture, as many of already know. Now we will discuss this interesting topic with the company Gamaya from Switzerland, which is one of top technological company. Dear Miss Nicolata Gucheva is with us. Hi, Nicolata. How are you? May you please introduce yourself? Who are you?
Hello. Thank you very much for having me here on stage virtually. My name is Nicolata Gecheva, and I'm product marketing manager at Gamaya in Switzerland. So at Gamaya, we are aiming at improving efficiency and sustainability of farming businesses by offering compelling agronomy solutions that are powered by remote sensing and artificial intelligence. So I'm happy to tell you a bit more about that and what are the current challenges and solutions that we see in the near future.
So you are exactly combining these two fields, as I see, this sustainable development, this digital revolution. It's very interesting, sounds very interesting. Now let me start maybe the last question. How do you see the role of geospatial technologies and remote sensing in the present agriculture, and how it developed, in your opinion, how it developed and how we came to today?
So thanks to images from two main sources, which are satellites and drones, Gamaya's tool enabled to monitor crops growth and identify issues at a very early stage to make sure that the crop development and the operations on the field are optimized and efficient throughout the whole growing season. So from planting to harvesting to the last step of the process of the plant. So this helps large-scale producers to act on time with up-to-date information. And the end goal is, of course, to maximize yields, so to get enough crop production and enough revenue, while not using excessive inputs and machinery to protect the soil and to protect the land and to have a more sustainable crop production. So thanks to that above-the-air information, we are able to reduce the impact of the agricultural activities on the soil. So that's the concept of remote sensing in agriculture. So getting that digital information to apply then on actions directly on the field, which is in means of fertilizers, herbicides, or machinery that can be used in that field.
So I understand you support the agricultural progress in the field to farmers. You support the farmers. May you please detail a bit about your solution? Is it about something cloud-based system or a hardware system? When the farmers come to your company, what you provide? What's your solution? What's your product especially?
Yes. So we are focusing currently on an online platform for image analytics in the crop industry. So our expertise ranges from different imaging technologies. At the beginning, it used to be a hyperspectral oriented company focusing on hardware, but we have also developed a lot of know-how and expertise in RGB and multispectral imagery analysis, both from drones and satellites. So what we are currently focusing on is really delivering an agronomic solution to farmers, to growers, to monitor their crop during the whole growing season with that online tool. The satellite product by itself offers an automatic update of information from satellite imagery that is automatically updated in the system, and all the artificial intelligence models run automatically to give up-to-date information about the field status to the growers without even going on site. On the other side, the drone products require to have an operator to go fly, get the data from the field, and then upload it to our platform to get all the analytics that are at a more specific level. So we are focusing here on weed detection, so detection of different types of weeds at different types of the growing season, planting gaps to identify where there are issues in the planting operations, and to forecast in a better way the yields that could be expected from that field, and as well precision harvest lines. This is very critical, for instance, in the sugarcane industry where we focus currently. So we particularly operate in the sugarcane industry where this is a real issue that has a huge impact on yields. So we are trying to help growers to optimize all those different operations throughout the cycle to each time get a minimum loss and a maximum yield and production, and those different stages with those different data products. So very high, very large scale, very good overview on the field with satellite imagery, and more specific tools with drone imagery to pinpoint very detailed information on the field.
So to make it maybe much clearer to audience, as I understood, the farmers need to acquire their own imagery, or you also provide some service in your local area for this image acquisition from drones, especially from this specific cameras, because these hyperspectral cameras, you know, really expensive devices, and maybe farmers hesitate to purchase them. And do you support also with this kind of service?
So currently we don't operate in hyperspectral anymore. This is not a focus anymore. We're not developing further the hyperspectral camera project. And in what we are really focusing on, we require only RGB information from drones. Mm-hmm. So this information can be gathered with any drone of good enough quality and enough know-how on how to actually plan a flight and acquire data. So on our side, we don't offer the service per se. We offer the help and the support to get the right data from the ground, from the operators on the ground for RGB imagery, and then to upload it on our platform for analytics, processing, and extraction of valuable information and insights on the field. So we are working exclusively with multispectral and RGB for the moment, meaning that this doesn't require any specific hardware, rather than off-the-shelf drones that nowadays are very, very good and very precise for the operations we're working on. One thing we nevertheless suggest and really try to reinforce is using RTK drones in order to get more precise geolocation data. For large fields, this is very valuable in order to have a very good overlap of data from one flight to the other, and also for the very precise extraction of some information points that then require to be integrated into an automated machinery with autopilots, for instance, when we're talking about harvesting. So this requires to have very good geolocation, and RTK drones are from far the best solution that we can advise our users to use. One point maybe I haven't made precise at the moment is that we're currently focusing on two main crops, which is sugarcane and soybean, that are for which Brazil is one of the largest producers in the world. So that's why we tackle the Brazilian market first, and we are preparing our platform to be ready to welcome other crops and other regions, of course, to expand Gamaya's capabilities in AI and image analysis expertise onto other fields.
Yes, I also saw that your solution is specific as you mentioned, and it was really interesting. And what makes, you already said, I think, this market opportunity, I think, make these crops special, not for the method, but for the market you selected this species, I see. And do you integrate also 3D solutions in your platform for especially yield estimation?
No, at the moment we don't work with 3D. It's exclusively 2D imagery data that generates orthomosaics for the drone side, or is directed to satellite imagery. We don't work with 3D.
Yeah, and you know, nowadays satellite technologies are also improving, and they provide very high temporal, especially, and I'm not speaking also just spatial, but also temporal resolution. Even one image per day, they also started to provide, even per hour they promise nowadays. And I wonder your opinion, if this technology in the future will replace drones, because now everyone owns drones and we fly on drones, but if satellite technology will replace it from agriculture point of view?
So we believe that for now, what is really interesting is to work on the connection between both. How can we connect the drone information with the satellite information? Because you're right, satellite information is becoming more and more accurate, but it's a process. We're not there yet. And the very accurate satellite imagery is also very expensive. So when we're talking about large fields, for instance, that might not be optimal. Or when we're talking about very cloudy areas with a lot of cloud coverage, like for instance in the tropical regions where we really work a lot regularly in those days, it's also a big limitation on the technical side. So as I was saying, what's interesting for us at the moment is really the connection between the two. So how can we merge both the data to cope with the quality limitation on one side and the scalability limitation on the other side, which is on the drones, of course, because this requires people on site to fly over the areas. So this is why we're really focusing on satellite at the moment. And our satellite-based models are the ones that we're really putting an effort onto. And drone data becomes kind of a ground truth data, because something we haven't talked about yet is that in agriculture, ground truth is very, very critical. We have to correlate the imagery, the information that is in the imagery, with what's happening actually on the ground, because there is a lot of variability from one place to the other. So a lot of geographies, weather conditions, soils that might give different information in NDVI imagery. So this local knowledge is really required. And agricultural practices are, as I was mentioning, are still very local, and that biological complex industry needs to connect what's on the field with what's on the air. This is why being exclusively satellite-based is not sufficient. Either we have to bring in information from the grower that he knows from his field, or we can try to use algorithms and merge drone data with satellite data to actually extract that kind of intermediary information from a drone that is closer to the ground. It has much higher resolution. We're talking about centimeters, of course, so we can see a lot of information. So yeah, this is the ongoing process. I really think that the ongoing process now is how to couple both. How can they partner each other? And in the further future, if drones will become useless, well, this is I think a question that very much depends on the location, on the countries we're talking about, and on the size of the fields that we're talking about, and also on the reliability and affordability of the satellite imagery. So this is something that is still ongoing and that we're really following very closely, because yes, as I was saying, satellite is of course evolving very fast, and we see a lot of value into building more analytics over satellite imagery.
I understand also the same applies for also satellite imagery, as you said, for drone imagery. So if we have satellite imagery by our own, so we can integrate easily, I think, in your platform, right? So the external data sources, if we have from the field, so from satellite images, so this platform allows to analyze and combine these two data sets or other data sources also from the field, and makes this automated analysis and to help the farmers.
Exactly. So for instance, something very useful is to use the satellite imagery and then NDVI maps and all the insights that you can get from NDVIs to spot fields that might have a bigger pressure, more unhealthy plants, more issues, basically growth issues, for instance, and to then send the teams, the local teams on the field, to fly drones on those specific fields. So instead of flying drones on the whole farm, the drones can be flown only over the fields that already present some kind of stress, to actually get more precise information about what's going on the field. So you see, it's a kind of a pyramid. Satellite imagery allows to have the first level of information. Okay, this field is healthy, this one is not. We focus on the one that is less healthy, then we go fly a drone to see, okay, what is happening actually on an even thinner scale. And then last step is actually going directly in the field. Why is that? Is because we're talking here, for instance, for Brazil, about dozens of hectares. Right? It's huge. It's not something that can be crossed by foot easily on a daily basis by an operator. So going incrementally like that, from satellite to drone and then to ground, is a very good path to go. And we really see an interest there. to use drones to go more in depth into the satellite imagery information.
I see, very interesting. Sounds very interesting. In this field, I also did some projects, especially from the past, also with some Swiss companies. I know the challenges, and the biggest challenges, as I saw also from the reports from some societies, the most difficult thing is to convince the farmers to use this technology. How do you tackle this problem? And what's your opinion? How to get them to get familiar, because they are mostly non-technical people, also in my country, in Turkey. So the development of these such systems may be much easier than convincing them to get this system. And what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, it's true that agriculture is not a very data-driven industry still, and it's a rather traditional industry. So that's effectively a real challenge. To answer it, we think that something very important is that remote sensing is not the answer to everything. Remote sensing is just a piece in the puzzle. And this piece needs to be integrated into a broader offer. And very often this means partnering with broader ag value chain market players to involve also the whole prescription side of things. Okay, now that you have that information, what can you do? What's the next step? And to have actionable steps means to then couple it with the right chemical, fertilizer, or machinery to be used in the next step of the process. So we have to collaborate in that larger ecosystem. So standalone remote sensing doesn't bring enough value. It's just, as I said, a piece that is very valuable, but it's a piece. So by itself, it's quite weak. And we have to be part of that system to drive the adoption of the service itself. So we can see remote sensing as a way to then better use the rest of the ag products and services on a field. So being part of this larger ecosystem, I see.
Mm-hmm. And another assumption in the community, in this society, especially Copernicus services. Sometimes it seems like it solves everything, but sometimes the high resolution data can be described as a must. What's your opinion on this? With Copernicus data, it will be enough to do some such analysis, or we have to get high resolution from satellites to combine with this drone imagery, especially?
So here's something that I believe is very important: is the versatility of the needs for the different crops that we're talking about. This is the main reason why Gamaya is not offering a solution for all crops. We don't say, here is remote sensing, you can do whatever with it. We try to be much more specific, and we develop solutions that are very specific to the needs of a specific crop. So in that sense, for now, we're on sugarcane and soybean. So of course, this expertise can then help us develop other products, but for now we're focused. Because each crop has its own development issues. It requires its own intelligence, and the level of detail that is required to extract the information that is needed also depends on the crop itself, of the size of the fields, of the size of the plant, of many things. So there is no one straightforward answer. I wouldn't say so. It really depends on what we're talking about. And for instance, very high added value productions, like for instance, grapes that are quite smaller plants than we can imagine a sugarcane field could be, might require to have that thinner level of detail that the drone can bring. While larger fields like soybean can be can get sufficient information from satellite itself. So I would say it's crop specific, and we really have to address the user's needs here and what it means in terms of actionable data for them. What is actually required to bring value.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And another question about the future of the professionals. Because, for example, for photogrammetry field, in the past, the stereo evaluation was very valuable. Now, you know, many software packages, just few clicks, you get very nice, accurate models. And how do you see the future of professionals in this field? All these automated system, AI, will get our job, or is it an opportunity for us?
I think it's an opportunity because it's a layer of information that was not available before. It's not that we're simplifying the access to the information, we're completely bringing a new level of information. The traditional methods in the past and still today in many fields is to still go on site, go scouting with boots on the ground directly and go check. But as the agricultural world is evolving, we're talking about fields that are larger and larger, which means that we have to have a higher, a more larger view on what's going on the ground. So that's where remote sensing is coming in. We are not really replacing ground scouting because this is still necessary. We still need to know the situation of the soil. We still need to go and do some manual checks to actually, as I was saying before, link the ground truth with what the images are showing. So when we spot an anomaly, when we spot an issue, in many cases, it still requires an operator to go on site and actually determine exactly what is going on with the field. So I think it's an additional tool in the toolbox of digital agronomists nowadays. It's not replacing anybody's job. It's bringing just more value to what was already set in place.
Okay, I understand. Let's pray these field robots won't get real soon. So at least we touch on the field. So we continue on the development of this field as professionals.
Exactly. And for instance, when we're talking about autopilot machinery to harvest automatically, we still have an operator in the tractor, right? It still requires supervision. It's not done completely in an automated way. So automation is a helper. It's an enabler to be more efficient and to better use the soil that we're already using for plantations and for crops, and to get the maximum we could from it, instead of having never-ending growing fields and having that need of expanding the agricultural land. But to make things better, more efficient, and with maximum level of fields on site.
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting. Last questions from my side. Now I know many students also from mine listen when watching us. And what do you recommend for new graduates, especially? Which skills are most important in this field?
I think, so which things are most important, you say, in the field?
Which skills? Skills, yes.
Well, I think it's critical to link technology with local knowledge. Again, digital agriculture is a thing, it's happening, but it cannot be done disconnected from the field. It cannot be done in an office without having the team going there, boots on the ground, meeting with the actual people that work in those fields on a daily basis to really understand their pain points and what kind of tools they need to improve their work on a daily basis. So this connection between the land, the ground, and the technology is really critical. And we have to understand what's going on. So we have to be in a continuous conversation with the growers and have that empathy. So understand what's actually the need. And then on the digital side is really always try to find the optimized versions of what we're doing. So meaning that we have an algorithm, we have a model, we have to continuously try to find ways to improve it, of course, right? Nothing is perfect from scratch. So the idea is to do iterations until we're satisfied with the result that we get. And this has to be done in collaboration with the people on the ground as well. So run those algorithms, run those models through them to understand how we can actually extract valuable insights from that. So to not get close into just a technical loop or something like this, but really have a perpetual connection. So I think empathy with the people that are on the ground is critical, and being visionary in the way we use technology to apply it to the agricultural business and industry in general.
Thank you. This answer was very useful, I think, for the students, for young graduates. I think we have 5 minutes. If you like, let me switch back to audience if they have any questions to you. Let me check these questions on the stage. I think I don't see any question on the stage now. Any question from audience? I think there is no question, or we should wait a bit to get live on the stage because there is some delay. Maybe I should refresh the page. No.
It's also quite late. I believe that people are tired after a full day of talking to dozens of people.
Okay, if this is the case, thanks for accepting to join this series. Nicoletta, it was very great conversation for us. So the audience, the next session is ready to start. Keep going, get inspired with amazing topics and guests during the day. Thank you again, Nicoletta.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you very much. Have a good day.